How to become mentally tough. Staying calm, focused, and resilient under pressure. By T.M. Light. Description: unlock the power of mental toughness, and learn how to stay calm, focused, and resilient under pressure with this practical guide. It teaches you to control your emotions, sharpen your focus, embrace discomfort, and recover quickly from setbacks. Discover strategies to build consistency, discipline, and strategic thinking while avoiding burnout. Perfect for professionals, athletes, students, and anyone facing high-pressure situations, this book provides actionable techniques to strengthen your mind for life's challenges. Transform stress into growth, fear into courage, and uncertainty into clarity. Cultivate lifelong resilience and unlock your full potential today. Chapter Outline. Introduction: The Power of Mental Toughness. Chapter 1: Understanding Your Mind Under Pressure. Chapter 2: Building Emotional Resilience. Chapter 3: Controlling Your Focus. Chapter 4: Overcoming Self-Doubt and Fear. Chapter 5: Embracing Discomfort. Chapter 6: Developing Consistency and Discipline. Chapter 7: Learning from Setbacks. Chapter 8: The Role of Physical and Mental Fitness. Chapter 9: Cultivating a Strategic Mindset. Chapter 10: Sustaining Mental Toughness for Life. Conclusion: You are stronger than you realize. Introduction: The Power of Mental Toughness. Imagine standing at a crossroads in life, the kind where the pressure feels almost physical, the stakes are high, and the world seems to demand more from you than you feel capable of giving. Perhaps it is a critical presentation at work, a test that will define a career, a personal relationship in turmoil, or a moment when everything seems to be spinning out of control. In that moment, two things become clear. One, the way you respond to pressure will define the outcome, and two, the strength of your mind matters more than any external circumstance. This is the essence of mental toughness. It is the ability to remain calm when chaos surrounds you, to maintain focus when distractions scream for your attention, to persevere when failure seems inevitable, and to recover faster when life knocks you down. Mental toughness is not about brute force or being impervious to pain or emotion. It is not about suppressing fear, anger, or doubt. Instead, it is about cultivating a mind that is resilient, disciplined, and adaptable, a mind that can navigate pressure, uncertainty, and challenge with clarity and purpose. Many people assume that mental toughness is something you are born with, that it belongs only to elite athletes, military leaders, or high-performing CEOs. They imagine it as an innate trait, a quality you either have or do not. The truth is far more empowering. Mental toughness is a skill, not a genetic lottery. It is something you can develop, practice, and strengthen over time. Like a muscle, it grows through intentional training, repeated exposure to challenges, and a willingness to stretch beyond comfort zones. Every act of perseverance, every moment of focus in the face of distraction, every time you respond to pressure instead of reacting, these are repetitions in the gym of your mind, each one building strength. So why does mental toughness matter? Because life is unpredictable, and pressure is inevitable. Challenges will arise, whether you are prepared or not. Stress will test your patience, your clarity, and your resilience. Setbacks will come, and mistakes will happen. The difference between thriving under pressure and being overwhelmed is not luck or innate talent, it is mental toughness. It is the ability to respond deliberately rather than impulsively, to see opportunity in adversity, and to maintain a steady course when the waters of life are turbulent. The benefits of cultivating this skill are profound. Mental toughness gives you clarity under stress. When your mind is steady, you can think clearly, assess situations rationally, and make decisions based on fact rather than fear. It allows you to recover quickly from setbacks, learning from mistakes instead of being paralyzed by them. It builds confidence because you know deep down that you can handle challenges no matter how intense. And it creates consistency, enabling you to perform at your best, even when conditions are far from ideal. Think of mental toughness as an internal compass. It does not eliminate storms, but it ensures you navigate them without losing your direction. It does not make pressure disappear, but it gives you the tools to respond constructively rather than destructively. It does not remove fear, doubt, or discomfort, but it teaches you how to manage those experiences so they inform your decisions instead of controlling them. Throughout this book, you will discover practical strategies to build, strengthen, and maintain mental toughness. We will explore how your mind reacts under pressure, and how awareness becomes the first line of defense. You will learn techniques to regulate emotions, focus attention, and cultivate resilience in the face of setbacks. You will be guided to embrace discomfort, see challenges as opportunities, and develop habits that reinforce consistency and discipline. You will learn to reframe failure, rewire thought patterns, and harness your inner strength so that over time your mind becomes a reliable ally rather than a source of anxiety. This journey is not about instant transformation or superficial motivation. It is about equipping you with a toolkit of skills that can be applied in every area of your life, personal, professional, and emotional. It is about creating a foundation of resilience that does not crumble under stress. It is about teaching your mind to respond with clarity, to act with intention, and to recover with speed when life does not go according to plan. By the end of this book, you will understand that mental toughness is not a rare gift reserved for the few. It is a discipline you can cultivate daily. You will have practical exercises, thought experiments, and strategies to strengthen your focus, manage your emotions, and maintain calm under pressure. You will see setbacks as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. You will learn to take control of your inner dialogue, to quiet the panic that arises in high-stakes situations, and to trust yourself even when circumstances feel overwhelming. The power of mental toughness lies in its applicability. You will find it useful when deadlines loom, when conflicts arise, when uncertainty threatens to paralyze you, and when you face challenges that feel beyond your control. It will allow you to approach life's tests with poise, to respond rather than react, and to maintain a steady sense of confidence and capability regardless of external conditions. This is not wishful thinking. It is a skill that, like any skill, becomes stronger with practice, consistency, and awareness. As we begin this journey, I invite you to commit to the process. Mental toughness will not appear magically. It requires your attention, your effort, and your willingness to face discomfort head-on. You will be challenged to reflect, to practice, and to confront the habits of mind that have limited your performance and confidence. You will be asked to observe yourself without judgment, to respond with intention, and to stretch beyond the familiar. And in doing so, you will cultivate a mind that is more resilient, more focused, and more capable than ever before. This book is your roadmap. Each chapter is designed to take you step by step toward mastering the inner game of mental toughness. By the end, you will have a deeper understanding of how your mind operates under pressure, practical strategies to manage stress and setbacks, and the confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. You will not be unshakable because life will stop challenging you. You will be unshakable because you have learned to respond with strength, clarity, and resilience every time the challenge arises. So take a deep breath, prepare to stretch your limits, and open your mind to the possibility that mental toughness is within your reach. You are about to embark on a journey to develop focus under pressure, resilience in the face of adversity, and calm in the chaos. By learning these skills, you will transform the way you respond to life's challenges and discover the inner strength that has always been there, waiting for you to claim it. This is the power of mental toughness. And it is yours to develop. Chapter 1: Understanding your mind under pressure. Pressure, is unavoidable. From the moment we wake to the demands of work, relationships, and life itself, our minds are constantly tested. Some days the challenges are subtle: a tight deadline, a difficult conversation, a decision that matters more than it should. Other days they hit like a storm, a crisis at work, an unexpected argument, a health scare. How we respond in these moments is not random. It is not luck or chance that determines whether we crumble, freeze, or rise to the occasion. It is how our mind reacts under pressure. Understanding your mind under pressure is the foundation of mental toughness. You cannot train a muscle you cannot see, and you cannot strengthen a mind whose workings remain invisible to you. Awareness is the first step. Before you can act with clarity and resilience, you must understand what is happening inside your own head when stress rises, your heart pounds, and your thoughts start to spiral. When pressure mounts, your body and mind respond as one integrated system. Your heart rate rises, your muscles tense, your breathing quickens. This is not a flaw or a weakness. It is a survival mechanism, the fight or flight response designed to keep you alive in situations of real or perceived danger. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, when a predator approached, humans did not have time to weigh options or deliberate. The mind and body reacted instinctively: fight the threat or run to safety. That response, encoded in our biology, still exists in us today. Yet the threats we face are no longer lions or saber-toothed tigers. Our dangers are meetings, deadlines, financial pressures, social conflicts, and the daily barrage of expectations. The same survival response that once saved us from death now activates in situations that are entirely modern. Your body may surge with adrenaline at a critical presentation. Your mind may race with worst-case scenarios during a tense conversation, or your stomach may tighten as you prepare to make a high-stakes decision. In that instant, your survival instincts are working overtime, but the response that once protected your ancestors can now sabotage your clarity, your focus, and your performance. Stress affects every layer of your mind. Thoughts become rapid and fragmented. Emotions feel magnified. Patience erodes. Decision-making falters. When under pressure, the brain tends to default to familiar patterns, often negative ones: overthinking, catastrophizing, self-criticism, or avoidance. These patterns are not character flaws. They are conditioned responses, shaped by past experiences, beliefs, and learned behaviors. The mind seeks safety, and it often finds that in reaction rather than reason. This is why self-awareness is critical. To gain control, you must first observe without judgment. Notice the physical sensations, the tension in your shoulders, the quickened pulse, the shallow breath. Notice the emotional signals: irritation, fear, anxiety, or doubt. Notice the mental chatter: I can't do this, I'll fail, I'm not ready. Awareness is the first skill of mental toughness, because you cannot respond strategically to something you do not notice. You cannot steer a ship in a storm if you cannot see the waves. The fight-or-flight response, while automatic, can be tempered with understanding. When adrenaline surges, you may feel the instinct to react impulsively or flee. But awareness allows you to pause. You learn to recognize that the rush of emotion and thought is not a directive, it is information. Your mind is sending signals about potential threats, but these signals are not commands. By observing rather than obeying, you create space to respond deliberately. You turn instinct into strategy. Your mental patterns, once recognized, can also be managed. Many of us have learned to believe that pressure equals panic, that stress demands immediate reaction, and that failure is catastrophic. These beliefs are neither true nor permanent. They are habits of thought and emotion that have been reinforced over time. Mental toughness begins with noticing these patterns. It begins with the simple act of saying, I see you, old habit. I know your purpose, but I will not let you dictate my response. This recognition alone shifts the balance from reactive to proactive. Techniques to observe and understand your reactions are deceptively simple, yet profoundly effective. One method is labeling. Name what you are experiencing. This is fear. This is frustration. This is tension. By assigning a name, you create a layer of separation between yourself and the emotion or thought. You are not the fear, you are the observer of fear. This creates space to respond consciously. Another technique is breathing. Slow, deep, intentional breaths signal to your nervous system that you are safe. When your heart races and your thoughts scatter, controlled breathing reminds your mind and body that you are in command, not in chaos. Visualization is another powerful tool. Picture yourself in the moment of pressure, calm and composed, handling the situation with focus and clarity. Your mind cannot fully distinguish between imagined rehearsal and reality. By practicing calm responses in advance, you train your nervous system to respond with composure when the real moment arrives. Similarly, journaling or reflective questioning allows you to examine the triggers and habitual responses that weaken your resilience. Ask yourself, what thought patterns emerge under pressure? How do my emotions affect my decisions? What physical sensations signal rising stress? Awareness without judgment is a form of power, one that transforms chaos into clarity. Understanding your mind under pressure also means understanding timing. Pressure affects the brain differently in the moment versus after reflection. During the peak of stress, rational thinking may be temporarily impaired. Emotions dominate. Memory may fragment. Recognizing this allows you to make allowances. Some decisions can wait, some actions require immediate focus, and some thoughts simply need to be observed without reaction. By respecting the rhythm of your mental state, you avoid compounding stress with self-criticism for reacting humanly. Another critical aspect of mental awareness is recognizing cognitive distortions, patterns of thinking that exaggerate danger, magnify mistakes, or predict failure. Catastrophizing, overgeneralization, personalizing, and all-or-nothing thinking are all tendencies that amplify pressure unnecessarily. Mental toughness is not about eliminating these thoughts completely, they are natural, but about noticing them, questioning them, and choosing actions based on reality rather than fear-driven assumptions. You learn to respond from a place of clarity rather than panic. Resilience is built on the combination of awareness and action. Observing your mind under pressure without judgment is the first layer, but the next layer is deliberate response. Once you recognize your stress signals, habitual reactions, and thought patterns, you can implement strategies that reinforce calm, focus, and strength. These strategies, breathing, labeling, visualization, and reflective questioning, are the building blocks of mental toughness. With repeated practice, these tools become automatic, allowing you to remain composed even when stakes are high. By the end of this chapter, you should begin to see pressure not as an enemy, but as a signal that your mind is engaging, that resources are being mobilized, and that opportunity exists to grow. Every surge of adrenaline, every racing thought, every emotional spike is not a threat but information. With awareness, you can interpret that information accurately and respond with strategy, composure, and confidence. Mental toughness begins here, in the quiet recognition of what is happening inside your mind, without blame or panic, and with the knowledge that your response is under your control. Understanding your mind under pressure is not a one-time lesson. It is a practice, a lifelong skill. The mind is complex, and stress will always provoke instinctive reactions. But awareness is the first step to mastery. By learning to observe, to name, to breathe, and to reflect, you lay the foundation for all the mental toughness strategies to come. Every subsequent chapter on emotional resilience, focus, overcoming fear, embracing discomfort, and building consistency rests on this understanding. Without awareness, the strongest strategies are wasted. With it, even the simplest actions become profoundly empowering. The mind under pressure is a mirror of your inner strength. When you observe without judgment, when you understand without blame, and when you respond with intention, you take the first step toward becoming mentally tough. You begin to see that stress is not your enemy, that your reactions are not immutable, and that your capacity for focus, calm, and resilience is far greater than you ever realized. Mental toughness is a journey, and it begins here. It begins in the simple act of noticing, in the conscious pause before reaction, in the willingness to see your mind clearly under pressure. From this awareness, every other skill, the control of emotion, the cultivation of focus, the mastery of fear, the embrace of discomfort, the creation of consistency can be built. Awareness transforms chaos into clarity, reaction into strategy, and fear into opportunity. As you continue through this book, carry this truth with you: the pressure you face does not define you. Your thoughts under stress do not define you. Your reactions are not permanent. You have the capacity to observe, understand, and guide your mind. You have the capacity to respond with clarity and strength. You have the capacity to become mentally tough. Chapter 2: Building Emotional Resilience. Emotions are not your enemy. They are not weaknesses to suppress or obstacles to avoid. They are signals, intelligent responses from your mind and body that provide critical information about your environment, your priorities, and your internal state. Yet under pressure, emotions can overwhelm, distort, or hijack your thinking. A surge of frustration can make a small setback feel catastrophic. Anxiety can paralyze decision-making. Anger can lead to rash actions that you later regret. The difference between those who falter under pressure and those who thrive often comes down to emotional resilience, the ability to regulate your emotional responses while staying focused, calm, and strategic. Building emotional resilience is the foundation of mental toughness. It begins with awareness, as we discussed in the previous chapter. Awareness allows you to notice the first flicker of tension, the initial surge of fear, or the tiny ripple of frustration. Without awareness, emotions act like hidden currents in a river, pulling you off course before you even realize it. With awareness, you can identify what you are feeling, understand why it is arising, and choose how to respond. Emotional resilience is not the absence of emotion, it is mastery over it. It is responding rather than reacting, observing rather than being consumed, and recovering rather than being undone. When pressure rises, your body automatically prepares for threat. Heart rate accelerates, breathing becomes shallow, muscles tighten. These responses are designed to protect you, but they also amplify your emotional state. Awareness alone is not enough. You must learn to regulate the physiological components of emotion to maintain clarity and control. Techniques such as controlled breathing, grounding exercises, and mindful observation of your body can calm the nervous system and reduce emotional intensity. Even a single deep breath, taken intentionally and slowly, can interrupt the cascade of stress and provide space for rational thought. Calmness under chaos is a skill that can be practiced and strengthened. It is not born out of stoicism or denial. It emerges from the repeated choice to remain present, to observe without judgment, and to respond deliberately. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, rain lashes, and the world seems to spin uncontrollably. One person panics, is swept away, and loses direction. Another person feels the wind, notices the rain, and steps forward with steady purpose. Emotional resilience is that second person. It is the ability to move forward without being immobilized by the intensity around you. Frustration is one of the most common emotional obstacles under pressure. Small irritations, unmet expectations, or minor failures can ignite a disproportionate response. To build emotional resilience, it is crucial to recognize when frustration arises and to respond thoughtfully. Ask yourself, is this worth the intensity I feel? Can I act in a way that moves me forward, rather than pulling me back? By reframing the situation and adjusting your internal response, you transform frustration from a force that destabilizes you into a signal that guides you to clarity and action. Panic, too, can be managed. Panic is the body's alarm system on overdrive, signaling perceived threat without an immediate plan for resolution. Emotional resilience teaches you to acknowledge panic without surrendering to it. Notice the racing heart, the tightening chest, the rapid thoughts. Label them. This is panic. It is my body reacting to perceived threat, not reality. Ground yourself through breath, slow deliberate movement, or sensory observation. Recognize that panic is temporary, and your ability to act deliberately is stronger than any instinctive rush to fear. Recovery after emotional setbacks is another essential component of resilience. Life is not a smooth path, and mental toughness does not prevent disappointment, failure, or loss. What it does is teach you to bounce back. When an emotional blow lands, whether a harsh critique, a failed plan, or a sudden change in circumstance, resilient minds take a moment to process, reflect, and respond. They do not suppress or deny emotion, nor do they allow it to control behavior. They acknowledge it, extract insight, and return to deliberate action. Each recovery strengthens emotional muscle, making subsequent challenges easier to navigate. Resilient individuals understand the connection between emotion and action. Unchecked emotional responses almost always lead to poor decision-making. Anger may cause words to be spoken you later regret. Anxiety may lead to indecision. Frustration may result in abandoning goals prematurely. Recognizing that emotions are drivers rather than dictators empowers you to interrupt automatic reactions. Emotional resilience teaches you that you can feel fully, without surrendering control over your actions. You can acknowledge fear, without allowing it to freeze you. You can feel frustration, without letting it dictate your behavior. Practical techniques for building emotional resilience are grounded in awareness, repetition, and reflection. Controlled breathing is one of the simplest yet most effective tools. In moments of high emotion, slow deliberate inhalations followed by equally long exhalations signal the nervous system to shift from survival mode to calm mode. Visualization complements this practice. Imagine yourself facing pressure and responding with composure, even when external circumstances are chaotic. Your mind cannot fully distinguish between imagined rehearsal and real-life execution, and consistent mental rehearsal strengthens the pathways that allow calm, deliberate action in the moment. Self-talk is another crucial tool. Notice the language you use when emotions rise. Phrases like "I can't handle this" or "this is too much" amplify stress. Replacing them with deliberate statements such as "I am capable of responding" or "I can navigate this one step at a time" reinforces emotional stability. The voice in your head, when guided, can become a source of reassurance rather than panic. This is a cornerstone of emotional resilience, learning to speak to yourself with clarity and strength, even when emotions threaten to dominate. Resilience is also cultivated through reflection. After moments of intense emotion, take time to analyze your response. What triggered the emotional surge? How did you react? What strategies worked and what could be improved? Reflection is not self-criticism, it is data collection. Every experience of emotional intensity offers feedback that can strengthen your capacity to remain composed next time. This iterative practice is what builds lasting mental toughness. Another aspect of emotional resilience is perspective. Life under pressure often feels larger, more urgent, and more threatening than it is. Stepping back, even briefly, allows the mind to assess situations more accurately. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? What is within my control and what is not? Focusing on controllable factors reduces emotional overwhelm and channels energy into constructive action. Perspective transforms pressure from a paralyzing force into an informative signal. Consistency is the final pillar of emotional resilience. You will not become unshakable overnight. Emotions will still arise. Frustration, fear, and stress are part of life. The difference is that repeated practice, awareness, controlled response, reflection, strengthens your capacity to navigate these moments with skill. Emotional resilience grows each time you notice your reaction, pause, and choose deliberate action over instinctive reaction. Over time, calmness, focus, and clarity under pressure become second nature. As we build mental toughness throughout this book, remember that emotions are your allies when mastered. They are messengers, not dictators. The surge of adrenaline, the pulse of anxiety, the flicker of irritation, all carry information. Learning to regulate your response transforms these signals from disruptive forces into guides. Emotional resilience allows you to act with clarity, recover quickly from setbacks, and remain grounded no matter the intensity of the situation. It is the heart of mental toughness, the quiet strength that underpins all other skills. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to practice. The next time a difficult conversation, a demanding deadline, or an unexpected obstacle arises, notice your initial emotional response. Observe without judgment. Breathe. Pause. Reflect. Act with intention. Each time you do, your emotional muscles grow stronger, your capacity for composure expands, and your mind learns to operate with resilience under pressure. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary performance, not because life stops being difficult, but because they learn to respond differently. Emotional resilience is not an endpoint, it is a lifelong practice. Even the most resilient individuals continue to experience frustration, fear, and stress. The difference is mastery. They understand, regulate, and recover. They treat their emotional state as data, not a verdict. They use it as fuel for deliberate action, rather than as an excuse for inaction. They understand that calm, focus, and clarity are cultivated daily, and that each moment of practice strengthens the foundation of mental toughness for all areas of life. As you move forward through this book, keep this principle at the center of your journey. Your mind is capable of far more than you have allowed it to show. Emotional resilience is the gateway to this potential. By mastering your response to pressure, regulating your emotions, and recovering swiftly from setbacks, you build the foundation for all other mental toughness skills: focus, confidence, strategic thinking, and consistent performance. Every day, every challenge, every setback is an opportunity to strengthen this foundation. Awareness, regulation, and recovery are your tools. Practice them deliberately, and your mind will respond to pressure with increasing calm, focus, and clarity. Mental toughness begins here, with emotional resilience, and every step you take strengthens the capacity to navigate life's storms with confidence and poise. Chapter 3: Controlling your focus. In moments of high pressure, focus is more than a mental skill, it is a superpower. It is the invisible force that separates those who succeed under stress from those who are reactive, overwhelmed, or paralyzed. Every distraction, every shift of attention, every fragment of thought you chase away from your priorities comes at a cost. The mind under pressure is naturally prone to wandering, to reacting to stimuli rather than acting deliberately. Multitasking may feel productive, but under stress it is a silent thief, stealing clarity, confidence, and performance. Learning to control your focus is not optional, it is essential to mastering mental toughness. Consider this: When deadlines loom, when stakes are high, or when unexpected challenges arise, your attention becomes the battlefield. Every ping of a notification, every fragment of worry, every what-if thought is a call to arms for your mental energy. The human brain is designed to notice threats, changes, and novel stimuli. It is a survival mechanism. But in modern life, this mechanism often works against us. Instead of helping us survive, it fragments attention, magnifies stress, and reduces effectiveness. Controlling focus is the skill of reclaiming your attention from the chaos of modern life and directing it toward what truly matters. Distraction is subtle, yet insidious. A message on your phone, a passing thought about what might go wrong, a minor irritation at a colleague. These interruptions may seem trivial, but cumulatively, they erode your capacity to perform under pressure. Multitasking, which is often praised in culture as a sign of productivity, is particularly harmful under stress. The brain cannot fully attend to multiple demanding tasks at once. Switching rapidly between tasks drains cognitive resources, increases error rates, and intensifies mental fatigue. True mental toughness requires rejecting the illusion of multitasking and instead cultivating the ability to engage deeply, consistently, and intentionally with one task at a time. The first step to controlling focus is awareness. You must notice where your attention drifts. During a high-stakes moment, ask yourself, where is my mind right now? Am I thinking about the task at hand, or am I distracted by unrelated worries, fears, or external stimuli? Awareness allows you to interrupt wandering thoughts before they take root. It is not a matter of forcefully suppressing distraction. Forcing focus breeds tension, but of gently returning attention to your priorities. Think of it as training a muscle. The more consistently you redirect your focus, the stronger and more natural the process becomes. Mindfulness is one of the most effective tools for building this skill. Mindfulness is the practice of observing your thoughts, sensations, and environment without judgment, and returning attention to the present moment. Under pressure, mindfulness allows you to notice the early signs of mental drift, the racing thought, the internal chatter, the subtle tension, and choose to bring your attention back deliberately. Even a few minutes of daily mindfulness practice can dramatically improve your capacity to concentrate during high-stress situations. Over time, it rewires your brain to recognize distraction before it hijacks performance. Visualization is another powerful technique. Before entering a stressful situation, visualize yourself fully focused and performing with clarity. Imagine the environment, the pressure, the distractions, and picture yourself responding calmly and deliberately, your attention fully aligned with your objectives. Visualization trains the brain to recognize and respond to pressure with composure, creating neural patterns that support focused action. Athletes, performers, and leaders use this method consistently, not because it eliminates stress, but because it prepares the mind to operate efficiently under it. Intentional focus exercises can also be integrated into your daily routine. These are small practices designed to strengthen the ability to maintain attention in the presence of distraction. For example, dedicating blocks of uninterrupted time to a single task, progressively increasing duration, and resisting the urge to check messages or shift to unrelated tasks builds mental endurance. Gradually, your brain learns that focus is not optional. It is a habit, reinforced through repetition and consistency. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to maintain attention when stakes are high and pressure is intense. Aligning focus with priorities, rather than impulses, is a defining characteristic of mentally tough individuals. Impulses are powerful. They seek instant gratification, distraction, and emotional release. But under pressure, giving in to impulses is a recipe for reactive behavior. The mentally tough person recognizes that attention is a resource, and they deploy it strategically toward goals and actions that matter most. This requires clarity of purpose, discipline, and the ability to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. Focus becomes a choice consciously made, rather than a byproduct of circumstance. High-pressure moments also demand the ability to block out noise, both internal and external. Internal noise comes in the form of doubt, fear, and negative self-talk. External noise includes interruptions, demands, and competing priorities. Mentally tough individuals learn to create mental space, allowing them to act with clarity despite the presence of noise. Techniques such as deep breathing, grounding attention in the present, and using mental anchors, words, images, or tactile cues that redirect focus help stabilize attention when the mind threatens to fragment. Controlling focus under stress is not about perfection. You will be distracted, your mind will wander, and emotional turbulence will arise. The key is not the absence of distraction, but the ability to recover attention quickly and consistently. Each return to focus strengthens your mental resilience. Each moment of deliberate attention is a repetition in the gym of your mind, building endurance, clarity, and control. Over time, the mind becomes more capable of sustaining focus, even under extreme pressure, making high-stakes situations feel less overwhelming and more manageable. Another dimension of focus is temporal awareness, understanding when to act, when to observe, and when to pause. Not every situation requires immediate engagement. Sometimes, the mentally tough person gains clarity by stepping back, assessing the environment, and determining the most strategic point of intervention. Focus is not just about sustained attention, it is about deploying attention at the right moment, on the right target for the right duration. Strategic focus multiplies effectiveness far beyond simple concentration. Mental toughness and focus are intertwined. A mind that cannot focus under pressure is vulnerable to fear, doubt, and impulsive behavior. A mind that is trained to maintain attention is naturally calmer, more deliberate, and more resilient. Control over focus amplifies every other skill in mental toughness: emotional regulation, decision-making, stress management, and recovery from setbacks. Focus is the lens through which all other capacities are magnified. It is also important to recognize that focus requires energy management. Cognitive resources are finite, and high-intensity attention drains mental energy. Mentally tough individuals monitor their energy and replenish it proactively. Short breaks, physical movement, hydration, and even micro-meditation can restore attentional capacity. By respecting the limits of mental energy, you maintain the ability to focus consistently rather than intermittently, preserving clarity and composure under sustained pressure. Focus also thrives on clarity of purpose. When your objectives are unclear, attention scatters. When your goals are defined and meaningful, the mind naturally gravitates toward them. Mental toughness is reinforced by repeated alignment of attention with priorities rather than impulses. Every moment you deliberately direct your focus toward what matters, you reinforce neural pathways that support deliberate action, resilience, and composure under pressure. High-stakes situations will test your focus repeatedly. The mind will wander, emotions will surge, and distractions will multiply. But with consistent practice, mindfulness, visualization, deliberate attention, energy management, and alignment with priorities, you train your mind to operate in clarity even when conditions are far from ideal. Focus becomes not a struggle, but a cultivated skill that allows you to navigate pressure with confidence and competence. Ultimately, controlling your focus is a practice of choice. Every time you notice distraction and redirect attention, you strengthen your mental toughness. Every time you prioritize deliberate action over impulsive reaction, you reinforce resilience. Every time you maintain composure in the face of internal and external noise, you expand the limits of your capability. Focus is not a trait you are born with, it is a skill you build, and with repetition it becomes your most powerful ally under pressure. As you continue through this book, remember this: pressure does not have to fracture your mind. Distractions do not have to derail you. Emotional turbulence does not have to cloud your judgment. When you control your focus, you command your response to life's challenges. Focus allows you to act with clarity, respond with intention, and recover with strength. It is the lens through which all other skills of mental toughness come alive. The ability to control your focus separates those who react from those who lead, those who falter from those who thrive. By cultivating attention under pressure, aligning your mind with priorities rather than impulses, and practicing deliberate, sustained concentration, you lay the groundwork for every other aspect of mental toughness. Focus is not a finite skill, it is a practice, a muscle, and a superpower you can grow every day. Control your focus, and you control your response. Control your response, and you control your results. Control your results, and you unlock the true power of mental toughness. Chapter 4: Overcoming Self-Doubt and Fear. Fear and self-doubt are universal. No one is immune. Even the most successful leaders, athletes, and innovators experience moments when hesitation creeps in, when the mind questions capability, when courage feels fragile. The difference between those who succumb and those who excel is not the absence of fear, it is mastery over it. Mental toughness does not demand that you eliminate fear or never question yourself. It requires that you learn to navigate fear deliberately, to use doubt as a guide rather than a chain, and to cultivate confidence that fuels resilience under pressure. Fear has a purpose. Evolution designed it to keep humans alive. It alerts us to danger, motivates caution, and triggers the fight or flight response. Yet in the modern world, fear often arises not from immediate physical threats but from imagined outcomes, the fear of failure, of embarrassment, of judgment, of falling short. Self-doubt is its companion. It whispers that you are not enough, that you lack the skill, the strength, or the insight to succeed. In moments of high pressure, this combination of fear and doubt can paralyze action, distort judgment, and reduce performance. Understanding the mechanics of fear and doubt is the first step toward overcoming them. Fear is essentially a signal. It conveys that something matters, that a decision carries risk, or that your mind perceives potential harm. Doubt is the cognitive reflection of that signal, questioning your readiness, your worthiness, or your capability. Left unchecked, these signals grow into powerful mental barriers that sabotage decisions under pressure. They convince you that hesitation is safety, that avoidance is wisdom, and that caution is virtue. In reality, these mental barriers are often exaggerated, conditioned responses to past experiences, not accurate predictors of future outcomes. Self-limiting beliefs are at the heart of doubt. They are the narratives your mind tells you about what is possible and what is not, shaped by childhood, past failures, criticism, and comparison. They often sound like facts. I always mess up under pressure, I'm not smart enough to handle this, I can't do what others can. These thoughts are seductive because they feel true, yet they are distortions, mental shortcuts designed to protect you from risk. Awareness of these beliefs is essential. You cannot change what you do not recognize. You must pause and ask yourself, are these thoughts accurate, or are they protective myths that limit my action? Reframing fear is a powerful tool in overcoming self-doubt. Instead of seeing fear as a signal of incapability, view it as information. Fear tells you that what you are attempting matters, that there is growth on the other side of discomfort, and that your mind is preparing you to respond. Instead of asking, how can I avoid fear? Ask, what is this fear showing me, and how can I use it to guide my action? By shifting perspective, fear becomes a tool rather than a weapon. Courage does not exist in the absence of fear. It is the ability to act in spite of it, to harness it as a compass rather than a cage. Confidence is intimately tied to action. Every time fear arises, the choice to act despite it reinforces your capability. Each successful navigation of fear strengthens the neural pathways that support resilience and deliberate decision-making. Confidence is not inflated bravado. It is quiet assurance, grounded in repeated evidence that you can handle challenges. When fear threatens to dominate, recall past moments when you acted under pressure, overcame doubt, and emerged stronger. Each memory of success is proof that your mind can perform under stress. Building an inner voice that supports courage is a critical component of mental toughness. Fear often thrives in silence or in self-criticism. Doubt is amplified when the inner voice is harsh, critical, or judgmental. Mentally tough individuals cultivate an internal dialogue that encourages action, reframes challenges, and reinforces capability. This voice does not deny fear, it acknowledges it, validates it, and guides deliberate response. It replaces the thought, "I can't handle this," with, "I can face this and learn from it," or, "I am capable of navigating uncertainty with focus and clarity." One practical technique for overcoming doubt is mental rehearsal. Before facing high-pressure situations, visualize yourself performing with courage and competence. Imagine the scenario, anticipate challenges, and see yourself responding with calm, clarity, and resolve. Mental rehearsal primes the mind for action, strengthens confidence, and reduces the perceived threat of fear. The brain cannot fully distinguish between imagined and real experiences. Repetition in the mind builds readiness in reality. Visualization transforms fear from a paralyzing force into a guide for deliberate action. Another technique is progressive exposure. Avoidance strengthens fear and doubt by signaling to your mind that the situation is dangerous or unmanageable. Gradually confronting feared situations, starting with smaller challenges and building toward more intense ones, desensitizes the mind and demonstrates capability. Each step forward, no matter how small, erodes the power of self-limiting beliefs and reinforces the capacity to act under pressure. Courage is built incrementally, moment by moment, decision by decision. Language matters in cultivating confidence. The words you use, both internally and externally, shape perception. Avoid statements that reinforce incapability or fear. Replace "I'm not ready" with "I am preparing and capable." Replace "I will fail" with "I will respond to challenges with focus." Repetition of supportive, constructive language rewires neural pathways, reinforcing confidence and resilience. Over time, the inner dialogue becomes a steady source of strength rather than a source of hesitation. Reflection is also essential. After moments of doubt or fear, take time to analyze your response. What triggered the fear? How did you respond? What strategies worked, and where could you improve? Reflection is not self-criticism, it is intelligence. Each instance of fear becomes an opportunity to strengthen resilience, refine strategies, and reinforce the inner voice that supports courage. The mentally tough individual uses experience as feedback, not as a verdict on self-worth. Mentally tough people also embrace uncertainty. Fear often arises from the unknown, from imagining worst-case scenarios, and from anticipating failure. Acceptance of uncertainty, coupled with deliberate focus on controllable actions, reduces the power of fear. You cannot predict every outcome, but you can control your response. Mental toughness is the willingness to act in uncertainty, to trust your preparation, your skill, and your inner guidance even when results are unclear. It is also vital to recognize that failure is not fatal. Fear and self-doubt often exaggerate the consequences of mistakes, making them appear catastrophic. In reality, failure is information, not judgment. Each mistake provides insight, data, and opportunity for improvement. Resilient minds reframe failure as feedback, reducing the emotional weight of doubt and strengthening the courage to try again. Over time, repeated exposure to manageable risk under supervision of an intentional mindset builds confidence and diminishes the intensity of fear. Another powerful tool is physical anchoring. The body and mind are connected. When fear rises, physiological responses amplify it: racing heart, shallow breathing, tense muscles. Grounding techniques, such as deliberate deep breathing, muscle relaxation, or centering postures, signal to the nervous system that you are safe and capable. By calming the body, you calm the mind, creating the mental space to act deliberately despite doubt. Courage is reinforced when the body and mind work in harmony, rather than allowing instinctive panic to dominate. Mentally tough individuals also surround themselves with support that reinforces courage. Mentors, coaches, peers, or allies who encourage risk-taking, model confidence, and provide constructive feedback reduce the isolation of doubt. Social support is not a crutch. It is a reinforcement that fear is natural and surmountable. Observing others act courageously under pressure reinforces the neural pathways of resilience, demonstrating that action in the presence of fear is possible and rewarding. Finally, maintaining a long-term perspective reduces the paralyzing influence of fear. A single decision, failure, or moment of doubt does not define your life, your capability, or your trajectory. Mentally tough individuals see challenges as temporary tests, not permanent verdicts. They act with courage in the present, learn from experience, and maintain confidence in their ability to navigate the future. Perspective transforms fear from a barrier into a signal, a reminder that growth is on the other side of discomfort. In summary, overcoming self-doubt and fear is not about eliminating emotions. It is about mastering them. It is about understanding that fear is information, that doubt is a reflection of perceived risk, and that confidence is built through repeated action, reflection, and supportive inner dialogue. It is about creating an internal environment where courage thrives, hesitation diminishes, and resilience becomes the default response under pressure. Every high-pressure situation is an opportunity to practice these principles. When fear surfaces, notice it. When doubt arises, question it. Reframe, rehearse, act deliberately, and reflect afterward. Each step strengthens the inner voice that supports courage, builds confidence, and reinforces mental toughness. Over time, fear does not disappear, but it loses its power to immobilize. Self-doubt is no longer a chain, but a signal guiding deliberate action. Confidence is the fuel of resilience, and resilience is the heart of mental toughness. By transforming fear and doubt into allies rather than adversaries, you create a mind that performs under pressure, acts with clarity, and recovers swiftly from setbacks. The inner voice, when cultivated with intention, becomes a source of guidance, assurance, and calm. You are no longer held hostage by fear. You are empowered to move forward with focus, courage, and mental strength. Courage is not the absence of fear. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. Mental toughness is the mastery of both. Through awareness, reframing, deliberate action, and reflection, you learn to act boldly even when uncertainty looms, to trust your preparation, and to build a self that can withstand pressure, disappointment, and challenge. The inner voice that once whispered hesitation now speaks of possibility, readiness, and strength. It is this transformation, the mastery of fear and self-doubt, that propels you from reactive survival to deliberate, resilient action. Chapter 5: Embracing Discomfort. Growth does not happen in comfort. True mental toughness is forged in the heat of challenge, in the presence of uncertainty, and in the willingness to step into situations that feel uncomfortable, even intimidating. Life's most transformative moments rarely arrive in calm, predictable conditions. They arrive when the mind is tested, when the body is pushed, and when emotions demand courage to act. To become mentally tough, you must embrace discomfort, not as punishment, not as a signal to retreat, but as a signal that growth is taking place. Discomfort comes in many forms. It can be physical, the strain of training, the fatigue of long workdays, or the sensations that accompany exhaustion. It can be emotional, the vulnerability of confronting fear, admitting mistakes, or facing rejection. It can be mental, the unease of learning new skills, tackling complex problems, or challenging deeply held assumptions. In all its forms, discomfort is the mechanism through which the mind and body adapt, evolve, and become resilient. Avoidance may feel safe, but it ensures stagnation. Leaning into discomfort, however, cultivates strength. Mentally tough people understand that discomfort is not the enemy, it is the guide. When tension rises, when fear surfaces, or when the mind resists, these individuals recognize that the very signal of resistance is a marker of growth. The instinct to retreat is natural, conditioned over millennia to avoid harm. But in modern life, this instinct often holds you back from opportunity, achievement, and self-mastery. The mentally tough reframe this signal, asking not, "Why is this uncomfortable?" but, "What is this discomfort teaching me, and how can I harness it?" Uncertainty is one of the most common forms of discomfort. Life rarely provides a guarantee that outcomes will match effort. Decisions are made with incomplete information, goals evolve, and plans encounter obstacles. Many people freeze or avoid taking action under uncertainty. Mentally tough individuals see uncertainty not as a threat, but as a challenge to navigate. They accept that discomfort is inevitable when stepping into the unknown, and use deliberate focus, preparation, and mental rehearsal to act despite unease. Tolerating uncertainty expands the mind's capacity to adapt, respond, and remain composed under pressure. Physical discomfort is another teacher. Our bodies are designed to adapt to stress, but growth occurs only when we push past familiar limits. Athletes know this instinctively. Muscles grow when they are taxed, endurance improves when fatigue is managed and overcome. But physical discomfort extends beyond exercise. Sitting through long meetings, enduring travel, managing demanding tasks, and balancing obligations all create micro-stresses that, when approached intentionally, strengthen resilience. Each moment of controlled physical discomfort builds confidence that you can persist, even when the body signals stop. Emotional discomfort is perhaps the most challenging. Facing rejection, admitting mistakes, expressing vulnerability, and confronting fear are inherently uncomfortable. The mind instinctively resists these experiences, yet they are the most fertile ground for growth. Leaning into emotional discomfort strengthens character, expands empathy, and reinforces the inner voice of courage and resilience. The key is to approach discomfort with curiosity and intention, observing your reactions, acknowledging sensations, and choosing deliberate action rather than surrendering to avoidance or panic. Reframing discomfort is essential. Mentally tough individuals view it not as a signal to retreat, but as a marker that they are moving beyond their previous limits. Discomfort becomes evidence that change, adaptation, and mastery are occurring. When the mind associates unease with progress rather than threat, the experience of challenge transforms from fear into opportunity. This mental shift is critical. The discomfort itself is not the problem. The interpretation of it as danger or limitation is what holds people back. Gradual exposure is one of the most effective methods for building tolerance to discomfort. Just as muscles grow through progressive resistance, the mind grows through incremental challenges. Start small. Expose yourself to manageable stressors that push you slightly beyond comfort. It could be taking on a project you feel unprepared for, engaging in a conversation you would normally avoid, or enduring a brief period of physical strain. As confidence and resilience build, gradually increase the intensity. This method trains the nervous system and mind to respond calmly, deliberately, and confidently to ever greater levels of pressure. Mindfulness complements exposure to discomfort. By observing sensations, thoughts, and emotions without judgment, you create a space between experience and reaction. The mind often resists discomfort by generating stories of danger, inadequacy, or impending failure. Mindfulness allows you to notice these narratives, acknowledge their presence, and choose how to respond rather than react impulsively. You learn that discomfort is temporary, manageable, and actionable. This awareness is the foundation for enduring mental toughness. Visualization also enhances the ability to embrace discomfort. Before entering a challenging situation, imagine the sensations of unease, the internal dialogue, and the external demands. Picture yourself navigating each element with calm, focus, and resilience. Mental rehearsal trains the brain to tolerate stress, primes confidence, and reduces the perceived threat of discomfort. When the real challenge arises, your mind recalls the rehearsal and responds with composure rather than panic. Breath control is another essential tool. Discomfort, especially when coupled with fear or uncertainty, triggers physiological responses: rapid heart rate, shallow breathing, muscle tension. Deliberate, controlled breathing signals to the nervous system that you are safe, capable, and ready to act. Each deep, intentional breath in moments of stress anchors attention, reduces emotional reactivity, and reinforces the mental habit of facing rather than fleeing discomfort. Intentional goal setting magnifies the benefits of embracing discomfort. When you engage with challenge with clear purpose, the experience becomes meaningful rather than arbitrary. Knowing why you are enduring strain, challenge, or uncertainty strengthens resolve and provides a compass for action. The mentally tough align discomfort with growth-oriented objectives, learning a skill, strengthening resilience, improving performance, or building confidence. Discomfort is no longer meaningless; it becomes the vehicle through which mastery is achieved. Reflection is a critical component of growth through discomfort. After each challenging experience, take time to analyze your response. What triggered resistance? How did you manage the sensations of unease? What did you learn about your capability, limits, and mindset? Reflection transforms discomfort from a mere experience into a structured lesson. Each reflection reinforces the neural pathways associated with resilience, courage, and deliberate action. Mentally tough individuals also recognize that setbacks and failures are natural companions of discomfort. Leaning into challenge does not guarantee immediate success. However, success is rarely the point, growth is. Each encounter with difficulty, each moment of tolerating uncertainty or strain, builds mental endurance and adaptability. Over time, repeated exposure to discomfort strengthens confidence and diminishes the intensity of future unease. The mind learns that it can persist, perform, and thrive even under pressure. Discomfort also fosters creativity and problem-solving. The mind resists the unknown, but when pushed into challenging scenarios, it adapts, improvises, and discovers solutions. Routine and ease do not stimulate innovation or expansion of capacity. By leaning into discomfort intentionally, you invite the mind to operate at higher levels of ingenuity and resourcefulness. Challenge becomes not only a teacher of resilience, but also a catalyst for strategic thinking and performance under pressure. Supportive environments can accelerate growth through discomfort. Mentors, peers, coaches, and communities that encourage controlled risk-taking, model resilience, and provide constructive feedback create a safe space to stretch mental and emotional boundaries. Observation of others navigating discomfort reinforces the possibility of success and provides practical strategies for managing stress, uncertainty, and challenge. Learning from others' example reduces fear and normalizes the experience of strain as part of development. Over time, embracing discomfort becomes a habit. The mind begins to anticipate growth rather than retreat from unease. Challenges that once provoked panic, hesitation, or avoidance are met with curiosity, composure, and deliberate action. Mental toughness is strengthened not by eliminating discomfort, but by repeatedly choosing to act despite it. Every small decision to lean in, every moment of facing fear or uncertainty, compounds into a durable capacity for resilience and confidence. It is essential to remember that discomfort is temporary, whereas the benefits of engaging with it are lasting. Each moment you tolerate strain, uncertainty, or challenge reinforces your ability to navigate future pressures with composure. Your confidence grows, your focus sharpens, and your resilience expands. The mind learns that adversity is not a barrier but a signal, a signpost pointing toward growth, mastery, and self-mastery. Mentally tough individuals do not chase discomfort indiscriminately. They approach it strategically, balancing challenge with recovery, effort with reflection, and risk with preparation. Discomfort is embraced intentionally, aligned with growth-oriented objectives, and reinforced through practice, mindfulness, and reflection. This approach ensures that challenges build strength, rather than breaking the mind or spirit. In essence, embracing discomfort is an act of courage, curiosity, and deliberate choice. It transforms the experience of strain from a source of fear into a platform for growth. It teaches the mind and body to tolerate stress, to adapt under pressure, and to thrive where others retreat. By leaning into discomfort, you expand your capacity to perform, endure, and lead under any circumstances. Every challenge, every moment of unease, every situation that triggers fear or resistance is an opportunity to strengthen your mental toughness. By choosing to engage with discomfort deliberately, reflecting on each experience, and aligning your focus with growth-oriented goals, you cultivate resilience that endures. The mind that once sought refuge in ease now finds confidence, strength, and mastery in challenge. The journey toward mental toughness is not a comfortable one, but it is a rewarding one. Growth is forged in the heat of challenge. Confidence is built in moments of strain. Resilience emerges when you act despite fear. And the most powerful transformation occurs when discomfort is no longer avoided, but embraced, recognized as a guidepost pointing the way toward the stronger, more capable version of yourself waiting on the other side. Embrace discomfort. Lean into the challenge. Allow fear, strain, and uncertainty to teach rather than control. With every deliberate choice to act under pressure, you become stronger, clearer, and more resilient. Discomfort is no longer a signal to retreat. It is the crucible in which your mental toughness is forged. Chapter 6: Developing Consistency and Discipline. Mental toughness is not born from sporadic effort or bursts of inspiration. It is forged in the quiet, relentless repetition of disciplined action. It is cultivated in the habits we practice daily, the routines we honor even when motivation wanes, and the commitment to preparation that shields us from the chaos of life's unpredictable demands. Consistency is the backbone of resilience. Discipline is the engine that drives performance under pressure. Together, they form the foundation upon which mental toughness is built. High-pressure situations test more than your skill. They test your preparation, your habits, and the depth of your mental endurance. The person who can perform calmly under stress is rarely someone who works hard only when they feel like it. They are someone who has built routines that embed competence, focus, and composure into their daily life. Discipline and consistency are not about rigidity or obsession. They are about creating structures that allow the mind to respond effectively when stakes are high, when fatigue sets in, and when emotions threaten to disrupt performance. Routine reduces the cognitive load of decision-making. Each day, the mind faces countless choices, from the trivial to the critical. When you rely solely on willpower and spontaneous judgment, mental energy depletes rapidly. Consistency, in the form of habits and preparation, automates essential actions, freeing mental resources to respond to unforeseen challenges. This is why high performers, from elite athletes to top executives, prioritize routines that structure their time, energy, and attention. By eliminating unnecessary decisions and rehearsing foundational behaviors, they create a mental environment optimized for clarity and resilience. Discipline begins with small, deliberate actions, repeated consistently over time. It is not about grand gestures or extreme effort. It is about showing up day after day, honoring the commitments you make to yourself. Simple practices: waking up at a set time, maintaining a focused morning routine, dedicating time to skill development, exercising the body, or reviewing priorities, build a framework for mental toughness. Each action, while seemingly ordinary, accumulates into a reserve of confidence and capability. When pressure mounts, the mind draws on this reserve, responding with composure rather than panic. Consistency strengthens focus and resilience. Consider the analogy of a muscle. Sporadic exercise produces minimal results, while regular targeted training transforms capacity. Mental faculties, attention, emotional regulation, and decision-making respond similarly. When you practice consistent focus, deliberate reflection, and controlled responses to stress, these skills become habitual. They are no longer fleeting, they are embedded. This is the essence of mental toughness, not reacting impulsively to pressure, but responding predictably, deliberately, and effectively because your habits have trained your mind to do so. Preparation is another cornerstone of disciplined mental performance. When you anticipate challenges, rehearse scenarios, and create strategies for action, stress is reduced. Uncertainty often amplifies fear and self-doubt. Preparation diminishes it. High performers engage in deliberate practice, simulate high-pressure conditions, and reflect on potential obstacles before they arise. This proactive approach ensures that when unexpected challenges appear, the mind remains steady, guided by experience and rehearsal rather than panic and improvisation. Discipline is not just about repetition. It is about preparation that converts potential chaos into manageable conditions. Daily habits reinforce emotional regulation. Mental toughness is tested not only by external stressor but by internal reactions: frustration, impatience, fear, and doubt. By integrating small, consistent practices that cultivate awareness and control, such as journaling, mindfulness, or controlled breathing, you train the mind to recognize and regulate these emotional responses. Over time, emotional composure becomes automatic rather than forced. The more consistently you engage in these practices, the more resilient your mental state becomes under stress. Consistency also builds self-trust, a critical component of confidence under pressure. When you repeatedly follow through on commitments, even small ones, you demonstrate reliability to yourself. Each act of discipline reinforces the inner belief that you can handle challenges, meet goals, and navigate difficulty. Trust in oneself is not given. It is earned through repeated evidence of competence and perseverance. This inner assurance becomes a stabilizing force during high-pressure moments, reducing hesitation and self-doubt. High performers often utilize structured habits to optimize performance under pressure. Athletes may engage in morning routines that include visualization, physical conditioning, and skill rehearsal. Executives may begin the day with prioritized task lists, meditation, and reflection on strategic objectives. Artists and creators might schedule daily periods of focused work to cultivate mastery and flow. These routines, while differing in content, share a common principle. Disciplined repetition creates a foundation of reliability, focus, and preparedness that shields performance from external chaos. Discipline and consistency are also about incremental progress. Growth does not require perfection, it requires persistence. By committing to daily action, even imperfect action, you compound effort over time. Small, deliberate steps accumulate into substantial transformation. The mentally tough recognize that resilience, focus, and emotional control are developed not overnight, but through sustained practice, repetition, and incremental challenge. Each day of consistency is a brick in the foundation of a mind capable of performing under pressure. Time management is a key aspect of disciplined consistency. Mental toughness thrives when priorities are clear, schedules are intentional, and distractions are minimized. Procrastination and indecision erode confidence and increase stress. By structuring time around meaningful objectives, the mind is free to focus on execution rather than uncertainty. Discipline in time allocation is a form of mental training, reinforcing the ability to act decisively, allocate attention strategically, and remain calm under pressure. Accountability enhances the effectiveness of consistent action. Mentally tough individuals create mechanisms, whether personal tracking, mentorship, or peer support, to ensure that commitments are honored. Accountability is not punishment, it is reinforcement. Knowing that effort and adherence to routine matter externally and internally strengthens commitment and reduces the temptation to retreat in moments of discomfort. It is a principle that ensures habits are not fleeting, but enduring pillars of mental toughness. Reflection and adjustment are vital companions to consistency. Discipline is not blind repetition, it is deliberate iteration. Mentally tough individuals regularly assess the effectiveness of their routines, identifying what contributes to focus, resilience, and performance, and what does not. They refine habits, adjust strategies, and incorporate lessons learned from both success and failure. This reflective practice ensures that discipline remains adaptive, aligned with objectives, and conducive to growth. The practice of consistency and discipline also reinforces tolerance for discomfort, a theme explored in previous chapters. Habits often require action despite resistance. Waking early, prioritizing challenging tasks, and maintaining focus when motivation is low are all forms of embracing discomfort within structured routines. Each repeated choice strengthens mental endurance, reinforcing the mind's capacity to persevere when external conditions are demanding. Discipline, in this sense, is the engine of resilience. Consistency compounds results. A single act of discipline may seem inconsequential, but repeated over days, weeks, and months, it transforms ability, confidence, and composure. Mental toughness is not a gift bestowed by circumstance, it is earned through deliberate practice. Each day of preparation, reflection, and focused effort adds to the reservoir of capability that you can draw upon in moments of pressure. Over time, this reservoir becomes a defining characteristic of your mindset. Ultimately, developing consistency and discipline is about control. Control over time, energy, focus, and emotion. By embedding deliberate habits into daily life, you reduce reliance on willpower alone, protect mental energy, and ensure that high-pressure situations do not catch you unprepared. Consistency creates a baseline of competence and composure. Discipline ensures that this baseline is reinforced, expanded, and ready to support performance under any circumstance. Mentally tough individuals are defined less by extraordinary talent than by extraordinary consistency. They understand that the quiet work done day after day, the disciplined rehearsal, the controlled routines, the deliberate reflection, is what produces exceptional results when pressure is high. They do not wait for motivation, inspiration, or ideal conditions. They act consistently, harnessing repetition to transform effort into mastery. This is the essence of mental toughness, a mind trained to perform, a body conditioned to endure, and a spirit fortified to persist, all through the power of discipline and daily practice. In the final analysis, consistency and discipline are not burdens, they are freedoms. They free you from chaos, indecision, and reactive behavior. They create a mental environment where focus thrives, emotional regulation is reinforced, and resilience becomes the default. Through disciplined repetition and structured daily habits, you build a mind capable of performing at its best under pressure, recovering quickly from setbacks, and remaining composed when stakes are high. Mental toughness is not accidental. It is cultivated, shaped, and reinforced one deliberate action at a time. By embracing consistency and discipline, you are laying a foundation that supports every other aspect of mental toughness. The routines you maintain, the habits you honor, and the deliberate preparation you undertake accumulate into a resilient, focused, and confident mind. Each day is an opportunity to reinforce this foundation. With every repeated act of discipline, mental toughness is strengthened. Over time, your ability to perform under pressure, manage stress, and navigate uncertainty becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Consistency and discipline are your allies. They are the structures that allow focus to flourish, fear to be managed, and resilience to grow. They are the quiet, steady force that transforms potential into performance. Through them, mental toughness is no longer abstract. It becomes lived experience, embedded in daily action and expressed naturally under pressure. The mind that cultivates these habits is a mind that thrives, endures, and achieves, no matter the challenge. Chapter 7: Learning from Setbacks. Setbacks are not interruptions in life. They are inevitable chapters in the story of growth, strength, and mastery. Every mentally tough individual, from elite athletes to visionary entrepreneurs, understands that adversity is not the exception, it is the rule. The true measure of mental toughness is not in the absence of failure, but in the response to it. How you react when plans falter, when efforts fall short, when circumstances disappoint, and when expectations collide with reality defines the durability of your mind, the depth of your resilience, and the scope of your potential. Setbacks trigger an array of emotions: frustration, disappointment, anger, fear, and sometimes self-doubt. The mind often interprets mistakes as indictments of competence or worth, reinforcing a narrative that you are somehow incapable, unprepared, or unworthy. These emotional reactions are natural, and mentally tough individuals do not deny them. They acknowledge the pain, observe the discomfort, and understand that these feelings are signals, not verdicts. Setbacks, while uncomfortable, are not evidence of weakness. They are data points, raw material for growth, reflection, and adaptation. The first step in learning from setbacks is to shift perspective. Mistakes are information, not failure. Each setback carries within it clues about strategy, execution, preparation, and judgment. Viewing mistakes as an opportunity for insight, rather than as a reflection of inadequacy, changes the internal dialogue from self-blame to self-inquiry. Mentally tough people ask not, "Why am I incapable?" but, "What does this teach me about how to improve, adapt, or respond differently next time?" This subtle shift transforms the emotional weight of setbacks into a constructive resource for growth. Reflection is a cornerstone of recovery. Immediately after a setback, it can be tempting to either ruminate endlessly or sweep the experience under the rug. Neither extreme serves mental toughness. Constructive reflection involves deliberate analysis: what went well, what didn't, and why. It requires curiosity, honesty, and discipline. Mentally tough individuals dissect setbacks without ego, separating facts from fear-driven narratives. They identify patterns, recognize areas for adjustment, and extract lessons that can guide future performance. Reflection is not self-punishment, it is intelligence in action. Adaptation follows reflection. Information is valuable only when it informs change. Mentally tough individuals take the insights gained from setbacks and apply them. This may involve adjusting strategy, refining skills, modifying habits, or changing mindset. Action transforms reflection into resilience. Without adaptation, setbacks remain stagnant pain points. With it, they become stepping stones, each misstep a guidepost pointing toward improved performance, greater confidence, and deeper mental fortitude. Another key principle in learning from setbacks is maintaining perspective. Failure or disappointment in one domain does not define overall capability. Mental toughness is reinforced when you view each challenge as temporary, specific, and actionable. A missed goal, a lost opportunity, or a mistake does not erase your ability to succeed in the next endeavor. By keeping setbacks in context, you prevent them from becoming disproportionate in emotional impact, allowing the mind to recover quickly, refocus, and act with renewed clarity. Mentally tough individuals also embrace accountability in the face of setbacks. Ownership does not mean self-criticism. It means taking responsibility for actions, decisions, and outcomes. Accountability fosters clarity and control, preventing the mind from attributing failure entirely to external forces or self-limiting beliefs. By asking, "What could I have done differently?" rather than, "Why did this happen to me?" you reclaim agency, strengthen self-efficacy, and convert setbacks into actionable learning experiences. Resilience grows most when setbacks are processed deliberately and systematically. Emotional regulation plays a critical role. The initial emotional surge, anger, frustration, fear, is natural and biologically driven. Mentally tough individuals acknowledge these feelings without allowing them to dictate action. Techniques such as mindful breathing, journaling, or temporary pause can create space between emotional reaction and deliberate response. This space allows analysis, planning, and strategic action, transforming initial emotional turbulence into constructive behavior rather than destructive impulse. Persistence is another essential element. Mentally tough individuals understand that setbacks are rarely fatal. They are often part of the iterative process of mastery. Growth is cumulative. Each attempt, adjustment, and repetition builds capability, confidence, and grit. By choosing to continue after disappointment, you reinforce the mind's ability to endure stress, uncertainty, and pressure. Each rebound from setback strengthens neural pathways associated with perseverance, creating a mental template for resilience that becomes automatic over time. Grit is cultivated in this process. The repeated cycle of attempting, experiencing difficulty, analyzing, adapting, and trying again creates a deep sense of internal fortitude. Grit is not innate, it is built through disciplined engagement with challenge. Mentally tough individuals are willing to endure discomfort, uncertainty, and temporary defeat because they understand that long-term achievement and resilience require sustained effort. Each encounter with setback is an opportunity to exercise this fundamental attribute of mental toughness. Learning from setbacks also involves reframing success and failure. Mentally tough individuals do not define progress solely by immediate outcomes. They measure growth by process, effort, and adaptation. A project that fails may still teach strategic thinking, patience, or interpersonal skills. A missed goal may highlight areas for skill development or highlight the limits of preparation. By redefining success to include learning, adaptation, and incremental growth, setbacks become essential components of progress rather than obstacles to it. Mentally tough individuals often employ specific techniques to extract lessons from setbacks. One approach is journaling, where experiences are recorded, analyzed, and reflected upon. Writing solidifies learning, clarifies thought patterns, and creates a reference for future challenges. Another technique is debriefing with mentors or peers, leveraging external perspective to identify blind spots and gain constructive feedback. Simulation and mental rehearsal can also be used post-setback, allowing the mind to process mistakes, anticipate future challenges, and rehearse improved responses. These techniques reinforce the connection between experience, reflection, and action. Resilience is further strengthened by maintaining a forward focus. Dwelling excessively on mistakes can erode confidence and increase fear of future challenges. Mentally tough individuals strike a balance. They honor the learning embedded in setbacks while redirecting energy toward the next opportunity to act. This forward orientation prevents the mind from being hijacked by regret, shame, or self-criticism, preserving focus, clarity, and calm under pressure. Another critical element is embracing the universality of setbacks. No one achieves excellence without encountering obstacles, failures, and disappointments. Understanding that setbacks are shared human experiences reduces the isolation and shame often associated with failure. Mentally tough individuals normalize adversity, seeing it as a necessary component of mastery rather than a personal flaw. This perspective reinforces resilience, courage, and the willingness to engage with challenges rather than avoid them. Mentally tough individuals also cultivate patience in the face of setbacks. Recovery, adaptation, and growth require time. Immediate results are rare. True progress is the accumulation of deliberate effort over extended periods. Patience allows the mind to endure discomfort, maintain consistent action, and continue practicing mental toughness habits without being derailed by temporary failure. It transforms setbacks from barriers into milestones on the journey of mastery. Self-compassion complements this process. While accountability is essential, harsh self-criticism erodes resilience. Mentally tough individuals treat themselves as they would a valued colleague or mentee, with clarity, honesty, and constructive feedback. By combining accountability with compassion, setbacks become lessons rather than judgments, fueling growth without diminishing self-worth. The interplay of reflection, adaptation, persistence, patience, and self-compassion creates a feedback loop that strengthens mental toughness over time. Each setback becomes a rehearsal for the next challenge, each failure a data point for improvement, and each moment of deliberate recovery a reinforcement of resilience. By embracing this mindset, the mentally tough cultivate an internal environment where setbacks are anticipated, processed, and transformed into stepping stones toward greater capability. Mentally tough individuals also leverage setbacks to refine strategy. Not every plan or approach will succeed initially, and recognizing this is essential for sustainable performance. Setbacks provide clarity about what works, what doesn't, and where adjustment is needed. By systematically analyzing performance and refining tactics, you turn adversity into a laboratory for mastery. Each iteration, informed by real experience, enhances skill, insight, and confidence, creating a compounding effect on mental toughness. Finally, setbacks cultivate humility and adaptability. Mental toughness is not arrogance, it is grounded awareness. The willingness to confront mistakes, learn and adjust, fosters emotional maturity, strategic thinking, and social intelligence. These qualities are as critical to high performance under pressure as skill or knowledge. By embracing setbacks as teachers, mentally tough individuals transform challenges into sources of wisdom and opportunity rather than triggers for fear or avoidance. In conclusion, setbacks are not interruptions to your journey, they are central to it. The path to mental toughness is paved with mistakes, disappointments, and challenges. By shifting perspective, reflecting deliberately, adapting strategically, practicing persistence, and cultivating patience and self-compassion, you transform setbacks into engines of growth. Each obstacle, when approached deliberately, strengthens grit, sharpens focus, and deepens resilience. Mental toughness is not the absence of failure, it is the mastery of response. The next time a setback arises, do not recoil. Lean into the experience. Ask, what can I learn? How can I grow? What does this prepare me for? By consistently engaging with challenges in this way, you cultivate a mind that is not shaken by adversity, a spirit that rises stronger after every fall, and a confidence that is forged through deliberate action and reflection. Learning from setbacks is not optional for the mentally tough, it is essential. Each mistake is a lesson. Each challenge is a teacher. And each deliberate recovery builds the resilience, focus and courage that define unshakable mental strength. Chapter 8: The Role of Physical and Mental Fitness. Mental toughness is often described as a quality of the mind, a measure of resilience, focus, and composure under pressure. While this is true, the truth is far more holistic. Your mind does not operate in isolation. It is intricately connected to your body, and your mental performance is directly influenced by your physical condition. High levels of stress, fatigue, poor nutrition, or inadequate sleep do not just weaken the body, they impair focus, amplify negative thinking, and reduce emotional regulation. The mentally tough recognize that cultivating physical fitness is not merely about aesthetics or strength. It is a deliberate investment in cognitive clarity, emotional stability, and sustainable resilience. The foundation of mental toughness begins with sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable tool for recovery, learning, and decision-making. During deep and restorative sleep, the brain consolidates memories, processes emotions, and clears neurochemical byproducts that accumulate during wakefulness. Without adequate rest, your ability to manage stress diminishes, attention narrows, and reaction times slow. Mentally tough individuals prioritize sleep as rigorously as they would training or preparation, recognizing that a fatigued mind is vulnerable to self-doubt, frustration, and impulsive decisions. Even a single night of insufficient rest can erode focus, amplify negative self-talk, and reduce confidence under pressure. By committing to consistent, high-quality sleep, you create the physical and mental foundation to endure challenge, respond calmly, and maintain performance when stakes are high. Nutrition is equally critical in supporting mental toughness. The brain relies on a steady supply of energy and nutrients to function optimally, particularly under stress. Poor nutrition, skipping meals, relying on processed foods, or neglecting hydration creates fluctuations in energy, mood, and focus. Mentally tough individuals understand that what you consume directly influences your clarity, emotional stability, and endurance. Balanced meals that combine protein, complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, and micronutrients fuel the body and mind, stabilizing energy levels and enhancing cognitive performance. Hydration, too, is essential. Even mild dehydration can impair concentration, slow reaction time, and exacerbate feelings of fatigue and irritability. When the goal is to perform consistently under pressure, nutrition is not an afterthought, it is preparation for resilience. Exercise is perhaps the most tangible intersection of physical and mental toughness. The body adapts to stress through controlled, deliberate physical challenge, and these adaptations have profound psychological benefits. Cardiovascular training improves circulation, delivering oxygen and nutrients to the brain, and reducing the physiological impact of stress. Strength training builds not only muscle but confidence, discipline, and the understanding that effort produces measurable results. Mentally tough individuals use physical challenges as a training ground for the mind. Enduring fatigue, discomfort, and intensity during exercise translates to improved tolerance for emotional and cognitive strain. Every sprint, lift, or challenging workout is an opportunity to practice resilience, push through discomfort, and reinforce the connection between effort and reward. Physical challenge also teaches emotional regulation. When the body is pushed to its limits, whether through endurance training, high-intensity exercise, or prolonged effort, emotional responses often surface, frustration, self-doubt, and impatience. The physically and mentally tough learn to observe these reactions without letting them dictate behavior. They practice breathing through the discomfort, pacing themselves and maintaining focus on form and execution, rather than succumbing to negative internal dialogue. This interplay between physical strain and emotional control mirrors the demands of high-pressure situations in professional or personal life. Each successful navigation of physical challenge strengthens the mind's capacity to endure stress without collapse. Stress management techniques further enhance the synergy between mind and body. Mental toughness is reinforced when you learn to regulate physiological responses to pressure. Controlled breathing exercises, meditation, and visualization are powerful tools for calming the nervous system, reducing the impact of stress hormones, and maintaining cognitive clarity under pressure. Breathing techniques, such as diaphragmatic or box breathing, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering heart rate and promoting focus. Meditation cultivates mindfulness, allowing observation of thoughts and emotions without automatic reaction. Visualization rehearses success in challenging scenarios, priming the mind to respond with confidence and composure. Together, these techniques provide an internal toolkit for maintaining equilibrium, even when external conditions are demanding. Energy management is another vital aspect of physical and mental fitness. High-pressure performance is not simply a matter of willpower, it is a product of available energy. Mentally tough individuals recognize the need to balance intensity with recovery. Overtraining, neglecting rest, or failing to manage nutrition depletes reserves, leaving the mind and body vulnerable to fatigue, irritability, and lapses in judgment. By integrating recovery periods, proper nutrition, and restorative practices into a structured routine, you create sustainable energy, sharpen focus, and build the endurance necessary to navigate prolonged stress. Mental toughness is cultivated not through bursts of effort alone, but through sustained, regulated engagement that aligns energy, focus, and intention. The relationship between physical exertion and cognitive resilience is supported by science. Exercise increases neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form and reorganize neural connections. It reduces anxiety, improves mood, and enhances executive functions such as planning, attention, and decision-making. Mentally tough individuals leverage this connection. Each workout is not only physical conditioning but mental rehearsal. Endurance under fatigue, coordination under strain, and composure under physical stress are directly translatable to high-pressure mental and emotional scenarios. The mind learns that stress, whether physical or cognitive, can be managed, endured, and leveraged for growth. Consistency in physical and mental fitness is key. Sporadic exercise, inconsistent sleep, or irregular nutrition patterns do not produce the cumulative benefits necessary for peak performance. Mental toughness is strengthened when these elements are integrated into daily life, forming habits that become automatic and reliable. Consistent attention to sleep, nutrition, exercise, and stress management creates a baseline of stability from which performance can emerge even under extreme pressure. It is this foundation that allows mentally tough individuals to respond effectively, maintain focus, and recover quickly in the face of adversity. Visualization can be combined with physical and mental fitness to enhance performance. By imagining high-pressure scenarios while in a physically engaged state, running, lifting, or practicing drills, you train the mind to maintain composure during stress. This pairing strengthens the mind-body connection, teaching the brain that discomfort, effort, and strain are manageable. Mental rehearsal while physically active reinforces confidence, decision-making, and emotional regulation, providing an experiential bridge between training and real-world performance. The concept of challenge as growth applies to both physical and mental domains. Mentally tough individuals seek opportunities to stress the body and mind simultaneously, recognizing that adaptation occurs at the edges of comfort. Whether it is enduring a difficult training session, learning a new skill under pressure, or facing emotionally demanding conversations, exposure to controlled stressor builds resilience. Over time, the mind becomes conditioned to respond to adversity with calm focus and strategic action, while the body supports sustained effort and recovery. A holistic approach to fitness includes mental exercises such as journaling, reflection, and cognitive training. The mentally tough combine these practices with physical conditioning, creating synergy between mind and body. Journaling provides insight into thought patterns, emotional triggers, and responses to challenge. Cognitive exercises sharpen focus, memory, and problem-solving. Integrated with physical conditioning, these practices reinforce endurance, composure, and adaptability. Mental toughness emerges not from isolated action, but from consistent cultivation of both mental and physical capabilities. Recovery is as important as exertion. The mentally tough understand that resilience is replenished, not depleted, by mindful recovery. Sleep, nutrition, stretching, meditation, and relaxation are not indulgences, they are essential components of sustaining performance. Neglecting recovery undermines mental clarity, emotional stability, and physical capacity. By respecting recovery as part of the training cycle, mentally tough individuals ensure that energy, focus, and resilience are optimized when pressure arises. Recovery is not weakness, it is a strategic reinforcement of mental and physical preparedness. Stress inoculation is a principle embedded in the integration of physical and mental fitness. By gradually exposing yourself to manageable stressor, physical intensity, cognitive challenges, or emotional pressure, you teach the mind and body to respond effectively under strain. This process develops tolerance, reduces the intensity of fear and anxiety, and builds confidence in capability. Mentally tough individuals use structured training, realistic simulations, and controlled challenges to condition their nervous systems for real-world pressure. The result is a mind that remains composed, a body that sustains effort, and a spirit that embraces adversity rather than recoiling from it. Energy optimization extends beyond individual sessions. Daily habits that support circadian rhythm, balanced nutrition, consistent exercise, and deliberate stress management accumulate into a stable physiological baseline. Mental toughness is reinforced when the body reliably provides energy, the mind can focus without distraction, and emotions remain regulated under pressure. By treating physical and mental fitness as interconnected systems, you create a resilient platform from which performance under pressure becomes more predictable, more controlled, and more effective. In conclusion, mental toughness is not an abstract trait of the mind, it is a product of holistic preparation, integration, and discipline. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, stress management, and mental rehearsal collectively shape the mind's capacity for focus, emotional regulation, and resilience. Physical challenges train the body and mind to endure discomfort, adapt under pressure, and recover efficiently. Daily habits and consistent practices reinforce energy, stamina, and composure, creating a foundation for peak performance in high-pressure situations. The mind and body are inseparable in the cultivation of mental toughness. By committing to deliberate physical and mental fitness, you equip yourself with the clarity, resilience, and endurance necessary to thrive under stress. You learn that stress is not to be feared, that discomfort is to be endured and leveraged, and that peak performance is a product of preparation, adaptation, and discipline. When mind and body operate in harmony, pressure becomes manageable, challenges become opportunities, and mental toughness becomes a natural expression of your readiness to succeed. Embrace physical and mental fitness as the pillars of resilience. Treat your body as a vehicle for focus, energy, and endurance. Treat your mind as a muscle trained through deliberate practice, reflection, and preparation. Together, they form a unified system capable of sustaining effort, managing stress, and thriving in the face of adversity. Mental toughness is not merely about enduring, it is about integrating mind and body, so that each supports the other in the pursuit of excellence, calm under pressure, and unshakable resilience. Chapter 9: Cultivating a Strategic Mindset. Mental toughness is often mistaken for raw willpower, brute strength, or the ability to endure discomfort. While these elements contribute to resilience, true mental toughness is far more sophisticated. It thrives on strategy, not mere reaction. The difference between reacting impulsively under pressure and responding with calm, calculated precision lies in the mind's ability to anticipate, plan, and act strategically. Those who excel under stress are not simply braver or more persistent, they are prepared, deliberate, and adaptable. They understand that chaos rewards the prepared mind, and that clarity under pressure is not a gift, but a skill cultivated through intentional practice. A strategic mindset begins with preparation. The mentally tough recognize that challenges are inevitable and often unpredictable. Instead of hoping for ideal conditions or relying solely on instinct, they anticipate obstacles and develop plans to navigate them. This does not mean attempting to control every variable, but rather mapping potential scenarios, evaluating options, and mentally rehearsing responses. Planning is a powerful tool because it reduces uncertainty, which is the primary source of stress. When you have considered multiple outcomes in advance, your mind is not scrambling for solutions in the midst of chaos, it is executing a strategy that has been tested in the theater of thought. Problem-solving and adaptive thinking are central to a strategic mindset. Life rarely unfolds according to a predetermined plan, and even the most meticulous preparation will encounter unanticipated challenges. Mentally tough individuals excel because they can think critically, adapt swiftly, and innovate under pressure. Problem-solving is not merely about finding solutions, it is about framing challenges in ways that make them actionable. When a setback arises, a strategic mind asks, what resources are available? Which variables can I influence? What is the most effective path forward? By breaking complex challenges into manageable components, mental toughness transforms overwhelming situations into solvable problems, maintaining clarity and focus when others may panic or freeze. Adaptive thinking goes hand in hand with emotional regulation. Under pressure, fear, frustration, and uncertainty can cloud judgment. A strategic mindset allows the individual to detach from the immediate emotional response and observe the situation objectively. This does not mean suppressing emotions, it means managing them effectively so that they do not dictate behavior. Mentally tough individuals recognize that clarity emerges when emotion is acknowledged but not allowed to dominate. They train the mind to respond deliberately, aligning decisions with goals rather than impulses, and using each challenge as an opportunity to reinforce composure under stress. Mental rehearsal is a powerful tool for cultivating strategic thinking. Visualization, practiced deliberately, allows the mind to simulate high-pressure scenarios, anticipate obstacles, and rehearse optimal responses. Athletes visualize performances before competitions, executives mentally rehearse negotiations, and performers run through critical tasks in their mind before stepping on stage. This practice primes the nervous system, reducing anxiety and increasing confidence when the actual scenario arises. By repeatedly rehearsing action under imagined pressure, mentally tough individuals train their minds to respond with calm, clarity, and precision, bridging the gap between preparation and real-world performance. A strategic mindset also involves prioritization. Not all challenges require the same level of attention or energy. Mentally tough individuals distinguish between critical tasks and peripheral distractions. They allocate cognitive and emotional resources strategically, conserving energy for the moments that matter most. This ability to triage stressor and focus on high-impact actions is a hallmark of mental toughness. It ensures that the mind remains clear, decision-making remains sharp, and performance under pressure is optimized. Reflection is a vital component of developing strategic thinking. After navigating a challenge, mentally tough individuals analyze the outcomes, what went well, what could be improved, and what lessons can inform future responses. This reflective practice strengthens adaptive thinking and builds a repository of experience that enhances the mind's ability to anticipate and plan for future challenges. Each success and setback becomes a data point, creating a mental map of strategies that have been tested and refined through experience. This cumulative knowledge is what allows a strategic mind to navigate complexity with confidence and composure. Flexibility is essential to strategy. A rigid plan is vulnerable to disruption. A flexible plan adapts to changing circumstances. Mentally tough individuals maintain a clear vision of goals while remaining open to adjustment in the face of new information or unexpected obstacles. They understand that strategy is not about perfection, but about resilience in action, being prepared to pivot, innovate, and respond effectively without losing focus on the ultimate objective. Flexibility, combined with preparation, ensures that the mind remains proactive rather than reactive, calm rather than overwhelmed. Strategic thinking also enhances confidence. When the mind is equipped with plans, rehearsed responses, and adaptive strategies, confidence emerges naturally. Mentally tough individuals are not arrogant or unshakable because they never face difficulty. They are composed because they have built a mental toolkit capable of handling pressure. This confidence is rooted in preparation, not ego. It is the assurance that no matter what arises, the mind has rehearsed, analyzed, and adapted to meet the challenge effectively. Decision-making under pressure is one of the clearest indicators of a strategic mindset. In high-stakes situations, the ability to choose the best course of action quickly and accurately separates those who falter from those who thrive. Mentally tough individuals cultivate decision-making skills through experience, reflection, and rehearsal. They recognize the cost of inaction, the risks of hasty choices, and the importance of clarity over emotion-driven reaction. Each decision, particularly in challenging circumstances, reinforces the connection between strategy and resilience, building a mental pattern of calm, deliberate action. A strategic mindset also integrates risk assessment. Mental toughness is not the absence of fear, it is the ability to evaluate and act in spite of uncertainty. Mentally tough individuals weigh potential outcomes, identify controllable variables, and prepare contingencies. They do not shy away from risk, nor do they act recklessly. Strategy allows the mind to convert fear into information, turning uncertainty into an opportunity to plan, adapt, and execute effectively. In this way, mental toughness becomes a product of calculated preparation rather than blind courage. Time management complements strategic thinking. Pressure often coincides with limited time, and the ability to allocate attention effectively is critical. Mentally tough individuals plan tasks, set priorities, and maintain focus, ensuring that energy is directed where it matters most. By structuring time strategically, the mind is freed from distraction, stress is minimized, and performance is optimized. Strategy in time management is not rigid scheduling. It is intentional allocation of cognitive and emotional resources to maximize effectiveness under pressure. Collaboration is another dimension of a strategic mindset. Mental toughness is not isolation. It is the ability to leverage collective knowledge and resources when appropriate. Mentally tough individuals communicate clearly, coordinate effectively, and delegate when necessary, understanding that strategy often extends beyond the individual. By combining preparation, adaptive thinking, and teamwork, they enhance their ability to perform under pressure, turning challenges into coordinated opportunities for success. A strategic mindset also emphasizes learning and iteration. Every challenge is an experiment, every setback a lesson, every success a blueprint. Mentally tough individuals approach life with curiosity, using experience to refine plans, anticipate obstacles, and improve outcomes. This iterative approach creates cumulative wisdom that enhances resilience, decision-making, and composure over time. Strategy is not static. It is a living process, continuously informed by reflection, observation, and adaptation. The mind of a strategically tough individual is calm in chaos because it has rehearsed, analyzed, and planned. Pressure is less overwhelming when the mind recognizes patterns, anticipates challenges, and is prepared to respond. Stress does not trigger panic. It signals an opportunity to apply learned strategies, execute with clarity, and act with confidence. Mental toughness, therefore, is as much about foresight, preparation, and rehearsal as it is about endurance or grit. Finally, cultivating a strategic mindset requires practice and intentionality. It is not enough to act strategically once. It must become a habitual approach to challenges. Each planning session, mental rehearsal, reflection, and adaptive response reinforces neural pathways associated with clarity, composure, and resilience. Over time, strategy becomes intuitive, allowing the mind to respond quickly and effectively in complex, high-pressure situations. In conclusion, mental toughness is amplified by strategy. It is built on preparation, adaptive thinking, rehearsal, prioritization, flexibility, and reflection. By cultivating a strategic mindset, you equip yourself with the tools to navigate uncertainty, overcome obstacles, and act decisively under pressure. Mental toughness is not reactive, it is deliberate. It is the ability to remain calm when chaos surrounds you, to make clear decisions when time is short, and to respond with precision when stakes are high. A strategic mind transforms stress into opportunity, adversity into learning, and pressure into performance. When you commit to cultivating strategy in thought, action, and preparation, you create a mind capable of thriving in any environment. Challenges become opportunities to apply knowledge, adapt intelligently, and reinforce resilience. The strategically tough mind is calm, confident, and composed, not because obstacles are absent, but because the mind is ready, capable, and practiced. Through deliberate strategy, you transform mental toughness from a trait into a way of life, a consistent, reliable, and unshakable approach to every challenge, every pressure point, and every high-stakes moment that life presents. Chapter 10: Sustaining Mental Toughness for Life. Mental toughness is not a skill you practice for a short period and then leave behind. It is a lifestyle, a framework for thinking, responding, and acting that becomes woven into every aspect of life. The difference between those who excel under pressure temporarily and those who thrive consistently lies not just in preparation or grit, but in the ability to sustain mental toughness over years, decades, and through the inevitable highs and lows of personal and professional life. Longevity in mental toughness requires deliberate practice, reflection, and the conscious integration of resilient habits into daily routines. The first step in sustaining mental toughness is recognizing that it is not an endpoint, but a continuous journey. Life will continually present new challenges, and the skills that served you well in one context may require adaptation in another. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger with repeated and varied use. Just as you would not train your body for a marathon once and expect it to remain fit indefinitely, mental resilience demands ongoing effort. The mentally tough approach life as a series of opportunities to practice focus, composure, and deliberate action, understanding that every moment, whether success or setback, is a chance to reinforce their capacity to respond effectively under pressure. Integration is key. Mental toughness cannot be confined to the gym, the office, or moments of crisis. It must permeate daily life, shaping how you approach relationships, work, challenges, and personal growth. This means taking the principles of focus, emotional regulation, strategic thinking, and resilience and applying them consistently. Mentally tough individuals set standards for themselves not only during obvious stress, but in mundane, everyday moments. They maintain composure during conflict, think strategically when facing minor setbacks, and cultivate self-awareness even when circumstances feel routine. By making mental toughness habitual rather than situational, the mind learns to respond consistently, reliably, and with clarity across contexts. One of the greatest challenges in sustaining mental toughness is avoiding burnout. The pursuit of resilience should not come at the cost of energy, joy, or well-being. Mentally tough individuals understand that endurance is built on balance. They prioritize rest, recovery, and self-care alongside effort, recognizing that sustainable performance requires replenishment. Burnout is often a result of neglecting physical health, emotional needs, or mental recovery, and it can undermine even the most disciplined mindset. By integrating periods of rest, reflection, and recreation into daily life, mental toughness becomes a sustainable, lifelong practice rather than a temporary response to crisis. Tracking growth and reflecting on progress is another cornerstone of longevity. Mentally tough individuals do not rely solely on external outcomes as indicators of success. They measure progress in terms of skill development, consistency, composure under pressure, and the ability to learn from setbacks. Journaling, self-assessment, and structured reflection provide clarity about strengths, areas for improvement, and patterns of thought or behavior that may undermine resilience. Reflection is not about dwelling on mistakes, but about extracting lessons and adjusting strategies. By regularly evaluating performance and mental habits, the mind remains adaptive, flexible, and primed for continuous improvement. Adaptation is critical for sustaining mental toughness. Life is dynamic, and stressors evolve. Strategies that once worked may become less effective, and new pressures may emerge in personal, professional, or social contexts. Mentally tough individuals remain students of their own minds, willing to refine, experiment, and adopt new techniques for focus, emotional regulation, and stress management. Adaptation is not a sign of weakness, but of strategic intelligence. It ensures that mental toughness is resilient, responsive, and enduring, capable of withstanding both predictable and unexpected challenges. Building habits is the practical foundation for sustaining mental toughness. Consistency in daily routines creates automatic patterns of thought and action that reinforce resilience. This can include structured practices such as morning reflection, mindfulness, goal setting, physical exercise, deliberate planning, and stress management techniques. By embedding these practices into the fabric of life, mental toughness becomes a default response rather than a conscious effort under duress. The power of habitual mental toughness lies in its automation. When pressure arises, the mind instinctively engages in focus, composure, and strategic action, conserving cognitive energy for decision-making and problem-solving rather than battling panic or indecision. A sustained mindset also requires clarity of purpose. Mentally tough individuals maintain a connection to their values, goals, and long-term vision. Purpose provides direction and motivation, reducing susceptibility to distraction, fatigue, or negative self-talk. It anchors resilience, reminding the mind why enduring discomfort, navigating challenges, and maintaining composure is worthwhile. Purpose-driven mental toughness is not reactive. It is intentional, grounded in meaning, and capable of enduring prolonged stress or adversity without losing clarity or motivation. Self-compassion complements the pursuit of sustained mental toughness. Longevity in resilience does not mean harsh self-criticism or the relentless suppression of emotions. Mentally tough individuals recognize the importance of acknowledging limitations, mistakes, and setbacks with clarity and kindness. Self-compassion allows the mind to recover more quickly from failure, maintain motivation, and avoid the mental erosion that comes from prolonged negative self-talk. It is a balancing force, ensuring that resilience is both strong and sustainable rather than brittle or exhausting. Mental toughness over the long term is also reinforced by the ability to anticipate stress and prepare for it proactively. Strategic planning, scenario rehearsal, and resource management are practices that extend mental resilience beyond immediate crises. By visualizing potential challenges, identifying contingencies, and rehearsing responses, the mind becomes conditioned to remain calm, focused, and deliberate under pressure. Anticipation transforms uncertainty from a source of anxiety into an arena for preparedness, turning reactive fear into proactive confidence. Social support plays a vital role in sustaining mental toughness. Even the strongest individuals rely on relationships, mentorship, and collaborative networks to maintain perspective, receive feedback, and recover from challenges. Mentally tough individuals leverage these relationships strategically. They seek input when necessary, maintain accountability, and cultivate environments that reinforce resilience. Longevity in mental toughness does not mean isolation. It means using community as a resource to sustain growth, clarity, and emotional regulation over time. Another critical aspect is celebrating progress. Mentally tough individuals acknowledge incremental achievements, even in the absence of large-scale success. Recognition of small wins reinforces confidence, maintains motivation, and strengthens the habit of perseverance. By celebrating effort, improvement, and consistency, mental toughness is reinforced as a positive, self-sustaining cycle rather than a series of high-pressure survival responses. Continuous learning is also central to sustaining mental toughness. The mind must remain flexible, curious, and willing to expand its capabilities. This involves studying mental strategies, observing high performers, experimenting with new techniques for focus and emotional regulation, and applying insights in practical scenarios. Lifelong learning ensures that mental toughness does not stagnate, but evolves in response to new challenges, environments, and personal growth objectives. Mentally tough individuals also maintain situational awareness, monitoring the interplay between stressor, performance, and recovery. They recognize early signs of cognitive fatigue, emotional depletion, or physical strain and intervene proactively. This might involve rest, reflection, or adjustment of routines. By responding to early warning signals, they prevent minor challenges from escalating into crises and maintain consistent performance over time. Sustaining mental toughness is as much about proactive maintenance as it is about reactive resilience. Integration of physical and mental fitness continues to play a central role in longevity. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, and adequate sleep are not one-time interventions but ongoing commitments that reinforce cognitive clarity, emotional regulation, and stamina. Mentally tough individuals understand that neglecting physical foundations weakens mental capacity and increases vulnerability to stress. A sustainable approach to resilience encompasses holistic care, mind and body working in tandem, each supporting the other through consistent, deliberate practice. Reflection and adaptation also include reviewing past strategies. Mentally tough individuals periodically evaluate what approaches have worked, which habits need reinforcement, and where new tactics could improve performance. This metacognition, thinking about how you think, enhances strategic awareness and allows the mind to evolve continuously. Mental toughness is not static. It grows richer, more nuanced, and more effective through deliberate review and adjustment over the lifespan. Finally, mental toughness becomes sustainable when it is embedded in identity and values. When composure, focus, and resilience are not just skills but reflections of who you are, they persist through life's unpredictable challenges. Mentally tough individuals define themselves by their ability to act deliberately under pressure, recover swiftly from setbacks, and pursue growth relentlessly. Mental toughness, in this sense, is no longer a temporary response. It is an enduring expression of self, guiding thought, action, and character across all domains of life. In conclusion, sustaining mental toughness is a lifelong endeavor. It requires continuous practice, deliberate integration into daily life, and a balance between effort and recovery. By embedding resilience into habits, maintaining clarity of purpose, fostering self-compassion, and cultivating adaptability, you ensure that mental toughness is not fleeting but permanent, reliable, and flexible. Physical and mental fitness, strategic thinking, reflection, and ongoing learning all contribute to a durable foundation for sustained resilience. The mind that is deliberately trained, rehearsed, and maintained becomes a steadfast companion, capable of navigating complexity, uncertainty, and adversity with calm, clarity, and confidence. Mental toughness is no longer a skill applied only in crises. It becomes a way of life, a framework for consistent, purposeful action, and an enduring source of strength. When you sustain mental toughness over the long term, you equip yourself to face any challenge, recover from every setback, and thrive under every circumstance, not just once but for a lifetime. Conclusion: you are stronger than you realize. As we reach the end of this journey together, it is important to pause, reflect, and acknowledge the progress you have already made. From the very first chapters, we began by exploring the foundations of mental toughness, understanding how your mind behaves under pressure, learning to regulate your emotions, controlling your focus, and embracing discomfort. We moved through building consistency, harnessing physical and mental fitness, learning from setbacks, cultivating strategic thinking, and sustaining mental resilience for the long term. Each chapter has been designed not simply to inform you, but to reshape the way you approach challenges, pressure, and the inevitable adversities of life. And now, here in this conclusion, it is time to consolidate that knowledge, internalize it, and remind yourself of a simple but powerful truth: you are stronger than you realize. Mental toughness is not a mystical trait, possessed only by a select few. It is not something you are born with, nor is it reserved for athletes, leaders, or those in high-stakes careers. It is a skill, a set of practices, mindsets, and habits that anyone can cultivate, refine, and apply. What separates the mentally tough from those who falter under pressure is not luck or innate ability, but deliberate action, consistent practice, and a willingness to grow through challenges. Every step you have taken through this book has been a rehearsal for resilience, a way of preparing your mind to perform calmly, decisively, and strategically when pressure mounts. What you now carry forward is not theory alone. It is a toolkit, a new way of perceiving stress, setbacks, and the unknown. One of the most important shifts you have likely experienced is the reframing of stress and pressure. For too long, you may have viewed stress as something to avoid, a signal that you are under threat or at risk of failure. Through these chapters, however, you have learned that stress is not the enemy, it is a guide. Stress reveals where preparation is needed, where focus must be sharpened, and where growth opportunities exist. When pressure arises, You now have the awareness to see it as a signal rather than a sentence, a prompt for action rather than a reason for fear. This is the essence of mental toughness, the ability to remain composed, deliberate, and effective, even when circumstances feel uncertain, chaotic, or uncomfortable. Equally transformative is the understanding that setbacks and failure are not verdicts on your ability or your worth. Mental toughness is strengthened in adversity. Each mistake, disappointment, or challenge is a rehearsal in resilience, an opportunity to learn, adapt, and emerge stronger. You have explored how to reflect without rumination, how to extract lessons without self-blame, and how to move forward without allowing doubt to dictate your actions. You have practiced detaching your identity from outcomes, responding to fear with clarity instead of panic, and building habits that reinforce confidence through action rather than empty affirmations. These practices are not temporary fixes. They are enduring principles that will continue to fortify your mind for years to come. A critical component of sustaining this resilience is the integration of your mental toughness into everyday life. It is not reserved for emergencies or extraordinary circumstances. Composure, focus, and clarity become powerful when embedded into daily routines, decisions, and interactions. When you navigate your work, relationships, and personal challenges with the same awareness, discipline, and strategic thinking you have practiced here, mental toughness becomes second nature. It becomes a framework for living, a lens through which you view obstacles as solvable, setbacks as temporary, and pressure as an invitation to excel. At the heart of this journey is the recognition that your inner strength has always existed, even if it was dormant. Many people underestimate their capacity to endure, adapt, and thrive under pressure. You may have doubted your ability to remain calm during chaos, to act decisively when stakes are high, or to recover from failure without losing momentum. But the exercises, strategies, and reflections in this book have shown you that your mind is malleable, resilient, and trainable. You have learned that mental toughness is not about perfection. It is about persistence, awareness, and deliberate practice. Every step you have taken has strengthened your capacity to navigate life with steadiness, courage, and focus. Mental toughness is also deeply tied to self-trust. When pressure arises, you now know that you have the tools to respond effectively. Your mind has been trained to pause, assess, and act strategically rather than reactively. Your emotions can be regulated, your attention directed, and your energy managed. This self-trust is a cornerstone of resilience. It is the quiet confidence that, no matter what challenges present themselves, you have the ability to handle them. And with practice, this confidence grows, becoming more intuitive and less reliant on conscious effort. You no longer fear falling. You trust yourself to navigate, recover, and continue forward. It is essential to recognize that mental toughness is not static. Life will continue to present new pressures, unfamiliar situations, and unexpected setbacks. The habits and mindsets you have cultivated here are your foundation, but resilience requires ongoing attention, adaptation, and reinforcement. Reflecting on progress, revisiting strategies, and embracing continuous growth are part of sustaining strength over a lifetime. Mentally tough individuals view challenges as lifelong teachers, each one offering insight into how they can refine focus, improve decision-making, and reinforce composure. By committing to this ongoing practice, you ensure that mental toughness remains not a momentary response, but a permanent aspect of your identity. The interplay between mind and body remains another pillar of long-term resilience. Physical wellness, through sleep, nutrition, and exercise, supports cognitive clarity, emotional regulation, and sustained energy. Mental rehearsal, strategic thinking, and reflective practices sharpen focus, prepare for pressure, and strengthen adaptability. Together, these elements form an integrated system, a platform from which you can consistently perform at your best. Sustained mental toughness is not merely about enduring discomfort. It is about creating conditions in your daily life that allow calm, clarity, and confidence to flourish naturally, even when challenges arise. A final, vital lesson is the reframing of challenges as opportunities. Every stressor, every high-pressure moment, every adversity is a chance to practice, reinforce, and refine your mental toughness. The more you approach life with this mindset, the less fearful you become of uncertainty, and the more resilient, composed, and effective you grow. By embracing challenges rather than resisting them, by observing setbacks rather than reacting impulsively, and by choosing deliberate action over panic, you create a life in which pressure no longer debilitates but empowers. As you move forward, carry with you the knowledge that you are stronger than you realize. The skills you have practiced, emotional regulation, focus, strategic thinking, adaptability, self-trust, and resilience, are not abstract concepts. They are lived, embodied practices that grow stronger each time you engage with them. Mental toughness is not a destination. It is a lifelong pursuit, a commitment to showing up fully, thinking clearly, acting deliberately, and recovering gracefully. With every challenge faced, every setback overcome, and every decision made under pressure, your capacity for mental resilience expands. Remember, mental toughness is not about never feeling fear, doubt, or stress. It is about how you respond to these experiences. It is about transforming what once paralyzed you into a source of insight, focus, and deliberate action. You have learned that composure is a skill, resilience is cultivated, and focus is trained. By integrating these principles into every aspect of your life, you ensure that no challenge, no matter how daunting, can overpower your mind. Your strength lies not in avoiding adversity, but in engaging with it consciously, strategically, and courageously. In the end, you are prepared. You have built a mind capable of calm under chaos, clarity under uncertainty, and resilience under pressure. You have practiced habits that reinforce endurance, self-trust, and strategic action. You have learned to view setbacks as opportunities, stress as a teacher, and challenges as invitations to grow. Mental toughness is now part of who you are. It is no longer external, occasional, or conditional. It is your internal framework, your compass, and your anchor. Carry this knowledge forward with confidence. Let it guide your decisions, shape your responses, and support you in moments of doubt or uncertainty. Remember that strength is not measured by the absence of pressure, but by the ability to navigate it with composure, focus, and resilience. You are capable, you are prepared, and you are far stronger than you may have ever believed. You are mentally tough, not because life has been easy, but because you have chosen to train your mind, embrace discomfort, and cultivate clarity in every situation. And as you continue to practice, reflect, and grow, that toughness will only deepen, sustain, and empower you throughout every chapter of your life. You are stronger than you realize. You always have been. And now, you know how to use that strength to remain calm, focused, and resilient, no matter what challenges lie ahead. Thank you for reading this book. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to leave us a review. TM Light. Disclaimer. This book was created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. While every effort was made to ensure the accuracy and relevance of the content, readers should note that this cannot be considered professional advice. Readers are encouraged to apply their own judgment and consult experts where needed.